missing a special meeting of the Scrutiny Appointment Committee. We've been calling, I've received in regards to the forest attendance at the LGA conference. Let's start by holding policies of absence.
Just to let you know that I'm deputising for Pat Glasson.
Anyone subject to the policy?
Can I just ask for clarification? Is the signatory to the ruling could not be subject to predetermined opinion?
Not the date on it.
Sorry?
Date on it.
Well, I'm just asking for legal opinion.
Chair, no, I don't believe that precludes a member from participating in the recording of those signatures.
I realise that some of the signature fees on the recording are sitting at the start of the table tonight. I'd like to make it quite clear that we haven't made up our minds. We want to sit here and listen to the evidence that's going to be put forward, and we will make unbiased decisions on what we feel. Okay. I would like to make some comments first before we proceed, if that's all right with you. Some of them are the fact that we feel that this recording has been handled in an unprofessional manner. The reasons are that we feel the officers have been making the rules what we do. And when we, can I just make one, because this is important. For instance, when we complain, for instance, that Bill Gilchrist has put comments across by an email, bearing in mind Councillor Gilchrist has an interest in this matter that he wishes to attend, because he wants to attend the conference. We were instructed by Sergio, the solicitor sitting there, to disregard Councillor Gilchrist's comments. We have to disregard them, and we know that he was told what to say by Shirley Cooper. We have that email here. And then, at a later time, you told us to carry on. So really, we don't feel we know where we're coming from, who's actually running this meeting tonight. And I would like to make it clear as well that we want to stick to the fact that we're only doing the transport and attendance. We'll only wish to listen to that this evening. Okay.
Chair, the communication from Councillor Gilchrist, we both appreciate that Councillor Gilchrist was going to submit his written submissions, was going to circulate directly those submissions to the members at that committee. Once that was brought to my attention, I did ask for the members to be informed. That has handed on to the chair. There has been no authorisation for that information to be circulated. I did ask that email to those members to ask that they disregard that, because really it had been circulated and it was not Councillor Gilchrist intended to simply circulate it without our chair central writing in relation to these representations. That was the reason for why at that point in time an email was sent to members asking them to disregard that communication, because the decision had not been made in relation to the elections.
But if we are to listen to this submission, he's not here to be interrogated on what's the next step. That was really fair.
Chair, and again, it is indeed a matter of request to waiting for any they wish to attach to any particular information in relation to the case.
Chairman, I wonder could we ask people to speak a little louder, because it's difficult to hear from back here.
Okay. Agenda item 3. As a reminder of the terms of reference of this committee's remit and scope, which has already been approved by Council, so it's not proceed. Everyone agree? Agree? Agree?
Yeah.
Agenda item 4, procedure for recording. Yes, through you, Chair. Item 4. Members will have in their packs, unfortunately it appears halfway through your pack, agenda item 4, which sets out the procedure, or the proposed calling procedure in relation to this particular matter. And paragraph 2 of those papers, it sets out the process that we followed in terms of dealing with the master of the chair, the explanation to be provided by the signatory, explanation from the relevant faculty member, before then evidence is called from witnesses, details of those witnesses, evidence of the cabinet member witnesses, and the opportunity for both the signatory and cabinet member to summarise their respective positions before the meeting will be debated or will start. Chair, so that's the procedure there for approval by this committee.
Okay, anyone agree? Okay, so we'll move on to the analysis for this evening. Councillor Lewis would like to step forward and please. Sorry? 5 minutes and then we have opportunity to discuss.
Richard say that, Constitution.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. I'm asking the members of the committee and the other signatories to the call.
Sorry, can I just ask that members sitting in the audience do not keep making comments to distract them? To be able to hear something quite clearly, have them trouble hear them quite clearly, and help them, and directing them to make comments and we'll do.
Thank you, Councillor Abbey, as always. I'm asking the committee and the signatories to this call, I'm asking the committee to consider referring this matter back to the cabinet member to reconsider the decision. Primarily because the initial expense that was quoted of £495 per person, the 5 members, and I do appreciate this affects all 3 parties because all 3 parties have attendees nominated to attend this conference, although one has since withdrawn. And plus accommodation costs, which won't be the subject of tonight's debate clearly because it's a separate decision, but also including travel costs and any additional hospitality. And plus the fact that 2 officers are also nominated to attend, taking a total of 7 people to attend this conference, which seems excessive, £3,500 to attend a conference in Manchester at a time when the authority is consistently saying there is no money. Interestingly, South Dorset is not sending any representatives to this conference, which is council has always quoted back at us for not suffering from particular cut from the government. The support the council receives from the Local Government Association is in excess. We pay the Local Government Association in excess of £80,000 a year for support. We have intensive support, particularly the last 2 years, that they've been providing almost weekly advice and guidance to members of this authority to go through the particularly difficult patch that we've been facing. I do not believe that the signatories on this calling do not believe there's a confidence at any value whatsoever to this authority's progress in terms of dealing with some of the issues that we're facing, some of which are historic, some of which are current. At the time when we are approaching austerity, to spend £3,500 on a conference, I believe, and certainly the other signatories on the calling, or some of the other signatories I've spoken with, I believe that spending £3,500 is sending the wrong message to taxpayers at a time when we as a council are also introducing bin charges, closing day centres, and not cutting grass as frequently. But we believe that the member training, if this conference is being paid for from member training, which is if it benefits members individually, then members individually should consider paying the cost of this. If this benefits the council as a whole, it should say it clearly in the decision how it benefits the council, with 7 members attending this conference. The process itself, we've heard from the Conservative spokesman, process has caused some concerns, not least the volume of telephone calls and emails that I've received from a number of different officers at various stages of the process hasn't given the indication that this process anyone has a clear handle on the process of the calling, partly due to the fact that the period of the calling has been condensed under the changes to the Constitution, and also the fact that we now need 6 signatories for a calling to be valid. Therefore, Chairman, I would ask the committee to consider the matter before it on the evidence that you're about to hear, solicitors and to refer this matter back to the Cabinet member for decision. Interestingly, Sir Merrick Cocker, who I believe is a Conservative, is also the chairman of the Local Government Association, and in the latest glossy magazine that we've all received from the Local Government Association, which tells us why there is no money in local government, in the second paragraph he says, "I'm looking forward to meeting as many of you as possible in Manchester and hearing your views about the challenging issues facing us all in local government. If those issues are primarily about lack of funding, I will question why £3,500 can be spent from this authority on such a conference." Thank you, Chair.
I'd like to conclude with this, yes.
Just a clarification from Ian. Thanks, Ian, for the statement. You said that the signatories of the calling believe what's written within the calling, whereas Councillor Andrew Hodgson quite clearly said he's got an open mind. So which is the truthful statement? The signing doesn't mean you believe the statements, but your statement saying the signatories believe in these statements. Which is the correct version? We have an answer to that, please.
Yes, certainly the correct version is as it's printed in the calling notice before you. That's what this sounds.
Okay, so can I ask Andrew to clarify? You do not believe the words of the call?
I do, yes, but I'll ask here why you can justify. How you can
Okay,
justify.
I think I'm trying to if there's confusion, as you say, about the process, there's certainly confusion among members or signatories of it. Which would bring me on to my second question. Do you think it's legitimate then for people who have signed the belief of the statements that you've put within the calling to actually then put their names forward either in very recent past or actually in the present day to be sent as members from various authorities which can contribute through levies to actually attend the conference? Do you think that could be considered hypocritical?
No, I don't think it's business has changed this year. We've seen the budget pressures on the council this year that your successor as leader has presented to us on a number of occasions to the council. That the budget is under once in a lifetime pressure that we've never faced before. And as far as I'm aware, there are no signatories on this call in attending the Local Government Association conference this year.
Okay, I'll quote because I can only investigate lines of inquiry that I have some information about. I have asked for all nominees from various outside bodies, and I'll submit this email if you wish, reply as evidence if you so wish. The statement quite clearly states and I'm talking about Merseyrail, year 2012-13, the minutes and the constitution says the chair, the vice chair, one of them, one conservative member be appointed to the LGA assembly, and despite the fact that there is no succeeding conservative group on Merseyrail, they've created their own sort of party. Certainly, be an apprehension or the understanding that Merseyrail was nominee for 11th year 2012-13 as Council of Merseyrail, who may be a signatory, and from 2008 through to 2011-12, Councillor Chris Blakely, who was another signatory to this, was sent. Now, I believe that your government has set up our programme of spending over a 3-year period, so both those names will be covered by exactly current circumstances that we face in terms of budgetary pressures. So I would suggest that you are mistaken in your belief that the circumstances are different now to make this an exceptional calling. I'm not aware of other joint boards, but I do believe other signatories are being sent to bodies that we contribute to and pay for to the LGA conference this year and previously. So I would suggest those who wish to pull the drawbridge up on other members attending the LGA are indeed, would you not agree, are indeed acting in a very physical fashion.
Councillor Fox, through the chair, no, I wouldn't, because as I said to you, nobody on the calling this year is attending the conference. The budget that we have this year as an authority, your successor as leader has told us is the most difficult budget this council has ever faced. In terms of the government, I believe now all 3 parties are committed to signing up to the current spending round. in terms of level spending, so I don't see the need for a political point in that one. I don't believe that there are any Conservative members from this authority in any capacity attending this year's local government association for the reasons I've outlined.
Okay, I would then just like to see, for my own sake, and hopefully it's going to be helpful for a number of members on the committee, as I understand the timeline and people can contribute later on. This application to attend the LGA went through our formal training group and was agreed by that as being worthy of funding that goes with it. So it was an all-party separate group made that decision. That seems to have been either ignored or put to one side. But there was already in the pipeline, as I understand it, the leader of the Conservative group came down to attend the LGA conference. I'm not sure in my own mind what came first, the chicken or the egg. The withdrawal of Councillor Green on knowledge of an impending calling, or the withdrawal of Councillor Green on his own free will and then the call. There's a bit of doubt in my mind. Having that this process was already given, sanctioned by an all-party group, which I think is something we should encourage all parties sit down and essentially discuss things. So I don't know whether you're in the know, because I'm certainly not as a backbencher anymore, and don't keep referring to me as leader. So I'd just like to clarify through you what you believe the timings are and the coincidence of such timings. And if anybody can answer the final question, is there a cost associated to any member making the late withdrawal from the LGA conference?
Okay, in terms of the timeline, I don't know when Councillor Green indicated he wanted to attend this conference when he was asked. When that is requested and acknowledged, I have no idea on that one. The purpose of this calling is because, like you, Steve, as a backbencher, I received through this was notification from committee services to say a decision had been made, and as a backbencher, I and other members of my group exercise their rights in the Constitution to call that decision in. The timeline up to that point, I have no idea. You'd have to ask Councillor Green if you called him as a witness.
And final question, do you think it's helpful to the democratic process for signatories and people involved in a calling procedure to openly have that debate within the local press and on blogs and that sort of thing? Do you think that is helpful to the process in terms of open-mindedness? I can only read the paper the same as everyone else, always looks there, but people are engaging and making statements. If they're not true, then they should disown them and say they're not true. But there are statements from and quotes from yourself, I think, in one previous article, and Councillor Chris Blake in another article. Is that helpful to the open democratic process to be debated in the views?
I think you're arguing against yourself, Councillor Fox. How do you have an open democratic process if we're allowed to discuss it in public?
No, I'm asking you the question. Is it helpful or unhelpful?
I believe it is helpful, and I believe it is healthy for decisions taken by this council to be debated in public.
Sure. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you, Chair.
Brief questions, please, and answer the points of the group.
Yes, I have one question. I'll just give Councillor the last question. Does Council believe that often Wirral is called, or has been called, by many authorities and many people outside this order, as the Insular Peninsula, and that's on a political level, well, looked into it instead of looking outward. And does he also believe that we've now learned everything we can by the peer review process, that we don't need to learn anything going forward? And does he not believe that the opportunity to actually debate and have discussions with senior members of the government at these particular conferences adds value to Wirral's case, and adds value to why we should be attending this conference and possibly similar conferences based on their own merits? I think it's very important that we stop looking inwardly and we look outwardly and we gain as much knowledge and experience as we can as an authority. That's the criticism we've had as a panel, and it's only recently we've had that criticism, that we are very much looking insular, that we're looking outwardly.
Chair, if I can answer, I think there's three questions there. Councillor, correct me if I've missed one.
Well, you take that.
Okay, well, that's fine. In terms of the comment between insular and peninsular, I've heard that because it rhymes, so but in terms of this council, I think probably, in my opinion, my opinion, that perhaps this council hasn't paid enough attention to what's been happening in the authority, and that's why we're in the mess that we're in now. That's my opinion. I don't see how sending seven people to a conference in Manchester tackles the problem of us being seen as insular, particularly if we're doing so much to encourage inward investment from around the world. So I don't believe Insular Peninsula has any relationship to a conference in Manchester. In terms of peer group, again, the conference is separate to the assistance we're getting from the peer group that we're paid for. So I don't see how the conference is related to the assistance we're getting from the LGA for that. And in terms of the decisions, debates, meetings with members of the government, again, I'm aware that the leader of the council and his predecessors have had a fair bit of deal with members of the government. And again, I'd be interested to know from whoever else is presenting evidence tonight, whether any meetings have been arranged with members of the government at the conference.
Yeah, I'd tell us supplementary. Is Councillor Lewis's objection or rejection of the signature against the number of people who came and keep mentioning 7 people? Is that because of that number that he's got the objection? Or the objection about sending anybody in the context? If you keep mentioning 7 people, if that's the figure that's sticking, it's either he's against sending anybody at all, or he's against sending that number of people.
Sorry, just the question first. The decision is as it is. The decision notice states quite clearly 5 members of the authority, and as it's since transpired, 2 officers. So there are 5 members plus 2 officers. So you say that the figure is sticking. The figure of 7 is sticking because it is 7 people going to the conference. If it's only 1 person, it's 1 person. No, I can't. It wasn't my decision, Councillor Harry. There are 7 people going to this conference. Therefore, I'm referring to 7 people going to the conference.
Excuse me, just a point of order, actually, Chair. I'm not asking Councillor Lewis a question, but Councillor Banks questioned Councillor Lewis, and then when we went to Councillor Hardy, you said 3 questions. Where's the 3 questions? Only 3 questions come from?
Oh, please.
Was it 3?
Yes.
Oh, 3.
What can we move on?
I think that's all 3, isn't it?
Councillor Fraser, please.
I'm just a little bit confused, really. Councillor Lewis, do you really believe that your colleagues are open-minded when some of the wording in this document out in front of me, it says travel costs is excessive. Surely if it was open-minded it would be maybe excessive, and a conference is unlikely. Surely you've already made up your mind. I cannot see where you sitting on this committee tonight is open-minded. Just cannot see that at all. Do you believe your colleagues are open-minded in sitting here tonight when the wording of this is obviously not open-minded?
Chair, am I entitled to answer that question or not? Yeah. I believe the members of the committee are perfectly open-minded to cancel the outing for the reasons that the head of the law has explained.
That's not open-minded, but I'm sorry, the school I went to would not use is excessive as an open-minded. No, it may be, but that's, no, it's not open-minded.
Chair, there's something going to add. I think representations have been made that whilst there are signatories sitting at this committee, the members have nonetheless also stated that they are wanting to hear evidence and representations around the decision and the calling itself and the rationale behind the decision around the confidence that they're having whether they feel that they are acutely prejudiced on being able to discharge their responsibilities in relation to this.
The word I use is justification.
That's what we want to hear. As far as I'm concerned,
I prefer to allow a justification.
If we move on,
Sure.
I'll pick up Denise.
Chair, that's supposed to be LGA conference, like now, miles or did you know that? Yes, I did, and that member particularly made reference to tell me that she wasn't attending this year because of the financial authority that the authority poses. So it seems perfectly legitimate and consistent for members of outside bodies from the Conservative group who said they will not be attending the LGA to sign this call in to the same medicinal authority. Sorry, you're not sure she was outside, you're sure she was.
Thanks, Chair. Ian, since the peer review, councillors have been taking part in a very intensive period of training. Most of that training has been organised in-house. I can't actually report, I'll ask Melissa later, how many training events that we held in Wirral for councillors this year. Can you tell me how many you've done?
Yeah, no.
Ian, just really helping in the priorities. Your contention is that in the current climate, spending £3,500 to attend the LGA conference is unnecessary expenditure, and it went through the Star Chamber system. It possibly could be withdrawn because it's money that the authority doesn't spend. Am I right in thinking essentially that is the nature of your concern?
The nature of my concern is that yes, the £3,500 at this time in the VSC's this council poses £3,500 for conference and not just successful.
And is really picking up to some degree on Nadia's point. If that conference was at no cost and totally free, would you see any benefit in anybody attending?
That's a hypothetical situation, Sharon.
My question is very, very similar to that. You seem to be objecting to the fact that 7 people going to this conference. This conference is going to be quite a high-profile conference. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for a lot of networking and a lot of opportunity for the people who are going to the conference to make sure that the voice of the Wirral is heard. Are you honestly saying that for £3,500 you would have no representation for the Wirral as such a high-profile conference?
Chair, I don't believe there is a single government minister who has any responsibility for any funding issues or any policy issues affecting any council who would refuse to meet members of that council. So why are we doing £3,500 when the leader, the chairman of the LGA himself said he's looking forward to meeting as many of us as possible to hearing our views on issues facing councils? There's nothing in that, and there's nothing on the agenda for the LGA conference that specifically relates to Wirral. There's no guarantee as far as I can see that Wirral is going to have access to those people, unless, as it comes out later in the meeting, perhaps that can be demonstrated at meetings with lobbyists, meetings with government ministers have been around.
Are you suggesting then that this conference is nonsense for anybody who goes from anywhere in the country because it's got no benefits to any other council? So really the whole conference should be called into question. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm calling in a decision for 5 members of this authority to attend the LGA conference. That's what I'm calling it. That's the decision.
I'm just trying to establish why. Is it because 7 people are going? Because you don't want them to go to the conference? Because if you said the conference was free, you still wouldn't want them to go. I'm trying to establish why you've called it, why you do not want people to go to the conference. That's all I'm asking for, a why, a definite why.
Okay, well, the reasons why are specified in the reasons for the calling, and there are 3 reasons specified, and they relate to the financial cost to the authority of this conference.
Any more questions, Councillor?
If you don't think it's any benefit to the Wirral, does that mean that we don't think the conference is going to benefit to any of the council?
With respect, I would counsel that this is a decision taken by the local council. If you want to have a discussion about the merits of the local government association, you, me and Joanne can have a long conversation about that. But what I'm talking to you about, the reason it's covering it, £3,500, my conference in Manchester, 7 members of this council to attend, is excessive.
Sorry, can I just ask you, just clarification, quite intrigued when you said that you haven't attended any training session whatsoever. Can you just clarify why is that? Because you already know everything, you never implement training?
So, no, since the election on the 17th of January, I had a meeting with somebody from LGA where I don't see why this is pertinent to this issue, but you want to go through my training, and the month of training I was offered was training in PR. I'm a qualified public relations manager. I didn't need that training. Other training was social media. I don't need training in Twitter and Facebook. That's why I've turned down some of the training with this authority.
There's no more questions, Councillor, about those who move on.
Again, 5 minutes. Thank you, Chairman. It's so nice to be here. Just a few comments to make. It's no secret, it's widely known, long in advance that there's going to be an LGA conference. It follows that the Conservatives, who have raised any genuine concerns long ago, had the dilatory expression of professed concern that they're now presenting to us, being troubling them as much as they declare. I made my decision to approve attendance, including Councillor Jeff Deans, only after the members training steering group, to which the requests were first put, had approved it. It would be very unlikely that I would oppose the recommendation of the members training steering group unless there were divided views within it, but they were not. The two Conservatives on the members training steering group had an exquisitely perfect opportunity to object, had their group, in fact, any genuine reason to object. But they didn't. In fact, they approved it. So at the point when I approved the decision as well, it already had all party support. The requests to attend this conference, as far as I was concerned, were perfectly legitimate, having gone through that process. The Conservative leader subsequently withdrew his request. Why did he wait until after the money had already been paid before deciding to pull out? As the payment is non-returnable, his place has been paid for, whether he's willing to go along and show up and defend Wirral's corner or not. Whether he goes or not, he has already ensured that the money is paid by not objecting in a timely fashion. In fact, I believe I'm right in saying, I stand to be corrected if I'm not, I believe that a year or so back, when the Conservative were leading a coalition, at the time when they borrowed £9 million under a loan that Wirral residents will be repaying for the quarter of a century in order to fund 1,100 redundancies, didn't the then Conservative leader of the council, who now thinks it's too expensive to justify, go along even in the face of that devastation that he claimed was happening, because there was under his government. Our council is a long-serving and active member of the local government association, and rightly so, on which, by the way, the Conservatives have a majority. Eric Pickles and others who are responsible for the apportionment of funding will be there to address it and defend that inequality. Their government is penalising the north of England far more heavily than the southern areas that return Tory MPs, and the Conservatives seem to say we should not send anyone there to defend Wirral to the very government ministers who are in fact the ones who you should have to persuade people to try and improve Mr. Wirral. SEGOMA, the Special Interest Group of Metropolitan Authorities, has calculated that Wirral has been worse hit than any other council in the land by the government's austerity measures. It seems to me that wouldn't failure to attend this conference and defend Wirral's corner be anything less than an unforgivable dereliction of duty to the people of Wirral, yet that seems to be what the Conservatives are calling for. It seems to me ironical that so many Wallasey Tories seem to be leading this charge, given that not one of them was able to turn up at the Wallasey Youth Panel last week, when their absence was noted by the young people there, because there were six along to support the youth, but not one Conservative. I think this is very symptomatic of the approach and the attitude that we've seen in training, and that we're seeing this evening in this very petty-minded approach. But can it be that there's something more subtle in this? Can it be that our Conservative councillors have become nervous because were they to attend the LGA conference, they would find themselves in a very difficult and very embarrassing position of having to vote for and defend the cuts and everything else that their government is making? They would be there in a position where they wouldn't dare stand up and oppose it without ridiculing themselves in the press shirt. And it does seem to me, Mr. Chairman, that this is a pretty poor excuse. Oh yes, I'll just wind up on my last point. It seems to me that what they're trying to do is to cloak cowardice as virtue in what I believe the public will see as a cynical propaganda contrivance. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. Any questions for the Councillor?
Councillor Jones, I'm not quite sure what the forum has to do with tonight, but
I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
I'm not quite sure what the youth forum has to do with tonight, but you obviously feel very strongly that this conference is pertinent to Wirral and that we should attend and that it should go ahead. So my question to you is, why in March of this year did the cities of Birmingham, Bristol, Leeds, Liverpool, Manchester, Newcastle, Nottingham and Sheffield serve notice to quit the LGA? Why do you think that is?
Well, you put two questions there. The first question...
Sorry, the reason we're interjecting is that Councillor Jones not possibly being in a position to answer that. If you guys provide some of that direction, then that's different. But it doesn't mean you asked a question to rationalise and see anything about the approach around that.
I'm quite happy to answer both the questions. The first question was what did the non-attendance of any of the Wallasey Conservatives at the Wallasey Youth Forum have to do with this? Quite so, and I'll answer your question. I think what it demonstrates is that it's symptomatic of the Wallasey Conservatives to lead a charge at this time in what I believe the public will see as a rather hypocritical manner. Your second question was that you wanted me to tell you why other councils in other parts of the country have decided to withdraw from the LGA. I'm afraid you would have to direct that question to them.
Can I just remind members that we should stick to questions surrounding the platform aspects of the proposal?
Thanks. I was thinking back a bit, like Councillor Jones, to the procedure because I'm not quite sure who are the members of this training group. I know the Council represent us. Can you tell us the names of the other people on the training steering group who okayed the original application? Who are the members of the steering group training group?
I probably could answer that question, but I'm not sure it's proper for me to answer it. I think that's a question for officers to answer. It is only necessary for me to know that the members training steering group was unanimous. And I do know that two Conservative councillors had their views sought and they approved it.
Chair, if you assist the members of the Web Trade Steering Group are Councillor Glasgow, Councillor McCarthy, Councillor Fennis, Councillor Hornby, Councillor Harley, and Councillor.
And I'm sorry, I'm still not sure of the rules. The rules require a certain number of those to be consulted about an application for training. Is that correct? I'm sorry, but mine.
Yes, through you, Chair. It requires consultation of at least one member of each committee.
Okay. And can I ask, were those members all approached and asked to attend today?
Let me just think. Yes, I believe there were, but I think Councillor McLachlan was looking into the to attend today. I'm sure that any Councillor Glassman will be attending, Councillor Towns, Councillor Hall, Councillor Harley and Councillor Gilchrist will be more than likely to.
And they declined.
No, Councillor Glassman will be
No, I don't
attending.
know. Councillor
Councillor McLachlan was conflicted, but she's attending the LGA conference. Councillor Clements and Councillor Thornby feeling unable to attend this evening.
Are they required to give a reason for that?
No, not required to be.
No, they didn't. They didn't.
Councillor Harley is in the audience. I believe Councillor Gilchrist is unable to attend.
Briefly, Hassan Burton, as you said, Sir Germer painted or determined that Wirral was the worst bit of any council in the country. And you rightly sit as a member of Parliament, which its number one responsibility is protecting the vulnerable members of the local community. In that light, is it reasonable that we should spend £3,500, or can we protect the most vulnerable in another more direct way than spending money on competent members?
Well, my group is doing its best to protect the most vulnerable in many ways. So the answer to that is yes, there are other ways. But this one way is one that, in my opinion, should be pursued wholly, because when you are having the annual meeting of a body which has the government ministers who are responsible for these austerity policies, and we are not there in full force to argue the court of the will, then in my judgment that is a dereliction of duty which is beyond repair. And I think your side probably believe that in your hearts, because if that had not been the case, you would not have sent your leader along 2 or 3 years ago when you just borrowed £9 million to pay for 11 redundancies, would you?
So, given that you clearly feel there is some benefit from attending competent members,
That's right.
would it be your intention, or the Cabinet's intention, to report back on exactly what benefits did accrue from attending the conference after the conference was concluded?
It's a pity that Councillor Green will not be able to join in that report back.
But can I just ask, will it be your intention to report back on the benefits?
It won't be my personal intention, because I won't be there, but I'm perfectly confident that our members who are there will do so, yes.
Okay, and just for the nature, really to conclude my question. If when you were, I'm assuming, I don't know how the wonders of Cabinet work. So did the question as to this expenditure, did it come to you across your desk? I don't know how it works. And did you at that point ask whether, or even think about whether it was appropriate that on this occasion, on this year, we should be sending as many as 7 people? I don't know how that compares with previous years. Perhaps you could tell me. But did you make that consideration, and then having made that consideration, decided that it was the right thing to do?
Would you like to shorten your question? I'm quite accustomed to reading long essays and marking them, but that's a bit much. I think I've got the idea. I think what you're saying is somebody going to report back? Yes. And I think you're asking me, do I think, my personal opinion you're giving me now, that this is a worthwhile thing to do, to go and actually take charge of that? Well, while absolutely essential, I've already said it would be a dereliction of duty not to be there trying to influence local ministers. And I think you said something about what is the process and procedure by which the decision reaches me. It reaches me by communication from our professional officers who report to me the decision that has been made by the members training steering group. And the report that came to me is that those councillors had requested that they attend the conference and that the steering group had approved their attendance. I would normally not put myself in a position of arguing the joint agreement, the all-party agreement of the steering group, which is set up for that purpose, unless I felt that there was some division amongst them in it. But there wasn't. They were united. And on the basis of the past, the historic purpose, this council has always supported that conference. It's always supported the Local Government Association. And I felt it was perfectly proper to continue to do so. I certainly saw no reason to interfere with the recommendations that have been made. It seemed to me a perfectly sensible one. And so did to the other two parties.
So at no time did you question whether it was right to spend £3.5 million? You accepted the decision of the...
I can see that you're trying to lead me into some sort of area. Well, I'm not going into it. I think I've already made plain that my judgment is that it was perfectly sensible for us to accept the recommendation of the sensible people who all three of our parties put onto that steering group to make those deliberations and considerations and take all of that into account. I will say that had I felt very profoundly, strongly that they were wrong, then yes, I would have gone back to them. But I didn't. I thought they were right. I thought all three of them in the all-party decision had made the right decision.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of quick questions. Are you aware that there are meetings that are pre-arranged with ministers for the delegates that we're going to attend from Wirral? And also, have the meetings been arranged throughout the year where we always wait for conferences to pay £3,500 to state the case for Wirral with ministers? Can this not be arranged at all times, or is this just a once-a-year opportunity? And finally, do you know what the conference last year actually achieved for Wirral? Are you aware of the benefits that came out of that might relate to this decision that we're taking?
Well, there are two questions there. The first question is, do I think that there could have been some other means of getting access to ministers? Yes, and indeed we have done that. We have sent people to get meetings with ministers. I'm not sure it was always as fruitful as we would have hoped it would be, because the Conservative-led government has pretty inflexible ministers. But yes, there are other ways of doing it, and yes, we have done it, and yes, we could continue spending more money on doing that as well. But it does seem to me to be a pretty silly duplication when we've got them all together in one place, together with everybody else from all over the country, for that specific purpose. It seems to me to be pretty silly to then duplicate that by sending them off on different errands.
Just to come back on that, as you just stated, you've got everyone from all over the country there. When we arrange...
Apart from the absentees, yes.
Yeah, when we arrange something just for Wirral, or for the North West, that's just for Wirral. We've got a much greater access to them. So obviously when we go to a conference, you're one of many. If we can arrange something throughout the year to state Wirral's case, obviously you've got a much better chance of speaking to them. So do you think that has the same benefits to arranging something specific for Wirral or for the North West in a smaller group?
I'm glad you raised that. There's an old saying in the Labour movement, you know, we are many, very few. And I think the advantage of a conference of that sort is precisely because there are so many people there who are able to bring their experiences from right across the country and across the years, then that makes it a very powerful and potent opportunity. And by the way, although some councils across the country have decided they're going to abandon ship for this conference, an awful lot are not. At your conference, ministers are going to be there, and we should be there telling them what they're doing to this borough of ours.
Do you feel this will come across as just a general, not going to use the word moan, a general moan rather than something specific that's going to benefit Wirral?
I don't know whether
Wirral spending money.
I don't know cannot hold to the ministers of your government who are doing this damage to this peninsula, that they're wrong. And I think that it's an absolute dereliction of duty to miss that opportunity. You're forcing me to repeat myself because you're really rehearsing the same thing again, aren't you?
Just on the second point then, if the conference is amazing and we're going to get so much from Wirral, what did we get from Wirral last year from when we went to the conference? Not asking generally.
I do wish I had the balance sheet in front of me.
So, getting back to when you gave the go-ahead for this, what information were you given to make that decision? Was it just an email, or were you given background documents? What paperwork were you given? I mean, you stated that everybody that is down on the list to go requested that they wanted to go. You said that just before. So, what paperwork did you receive to make that decision?
That was given to the members of the trade and steering group. That's an all-party group. I have every trust in the members of my party on it, and I have trust in the members of your party on it. They were the ones who actually looked at that paperwork. I wasn't going to argue with them and say, oh no, I'm sorry, I'm going to look at what you've done just in case you could be wrong. I trusted them. And frankly, I think I was correct to trust the members of your group who approved it. If I had some reason to think that there's something gone wrong, something dodgy, that we had some pressure put on or something like that, I might well have interfered. But it's not my practice to interfere in the workings of the body that's set up for precisely that purpose. That's why you put them there.
You're a cabinet member, aren't you? You're supposed to make sure that things run smoothly on your watch. So what you're saying is you received absolutely no paperwork. So how did you, what was it you received? An email? You received an email saying that you want to send 12 people across with just over £400 a ticket. How did you know about it then? Just to sort of tick the box and say, yes, that's fine.
You have a lovely turn of phrase, and I do see where you're trying to lead me, but I'm not